Welcome back to 2020 Radio. John Rowley here.
Jeremy Wyford here.
Yes, we're both here. Beautiful little Friday morning here. We are bringing back a topic that we haven't discussed for a while. In a sense, we're going to talk about blood glucose and fasting and the impacts that that fasting has on your blood glucose. And more specifically, I want to hear about the little experiment that you're running right now. So we've done the finger pricks back in the day.
Yep.
Not back in the day, like a year ago or something.
Yeah.
Which helped gain us a lot of information. But what are you working on right now?
So I have this little doodad on the back of my arm, and if I pull my shirt really tight, you can kind of see it.
It's like the size of a quarter.
Like, yeah, size of a quarter, maybe not.
And it's typically for diabetics.
Yes, typically. So I've got that question a lot. Oh, are you diabetic? Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just doing a lot of experimenting.
So he's got a continuous blood glucose monitor.
And all it takes is this little. So they have a myriad of different options now from what I've been seeing, and a lot of them hook up right to your phone. But what this one is it's just like a little circle disc about this, like a size of a quarter, like you said.
Yeah.
And then there's this little monitor that you get with it, and you just go boop, boop, and it tells you exactly where you are right there at that moment. I like it a lot. Yes, there's a little needle in it, right? It's probably like this long.
Like
How
a
long is
3-minute needle. Like it will take you about 3 minutes to convince yourself to use
That's
it.
exactly. I literally sat there in the morning and I was like, all right, let's see. All right, it's probably gonna hurt because I'm thinking back of my tricep. It's
Can't
gonna
somebody else do it to you?
Well, no. I mean, they could.
I know, but they could. If you're
Yeah.
afraid of needles, you just look away and then.
So I was like, all right, you know what? Just suck it up and just do it. So I went over and it's just like a little pump thing, and you go bang, pumped it on there, and I was like, oh crap, did I do it right? Did I screw this up? And I was like, is it on there? And then I was like, oh, it's on. It didn't even feel it. Like legit didn't even feel it.
Yeah.
The very first day, I did notice that it felt like a little, not a tug, but like a little pinching or like almost like a bruise,
Yeah.
right? It was just like, ooh, there's something stuck in your arm.
Right.
But it hasn't inhibited my range of motion, nothing. It hasn't affected me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I've actually ran into things with it, and I felt like I ripped it off. It does not come off, right? And even right here,
So
shower
now
with it, everything.
So what's the point?
So
Why?
the point is, so I started off. It's 10 days worth, and
You're
going.
on what, day 7 right now, or
I have 5 days left.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm halfway through. Right now, my first 3-4 days, I wanted to eat how I normally eat, not change a thing, and I wanted to see where I'm at. Now, everyone is different, right? Completely different how they handle different foods. So this is for me.
And this was specifically for what gets me hot and bothered or excited is certain nutrition plans work for certain people.
Yeah.
Like there is not one cookie cutter approach, even though we wish there was.
Oh my gosh, it'd make everything so much easier.
Easy. We just tell you exactly what to eat, and we
Yeah.
could all move on. But so this is as individualistic as we can get, and this is where healthcare is going.
Yes.
It's not what works for average.
No.
Nobody wants to be average. You want to be optimal.
Well, yeah, and just like you said, there cannot be a cookie cutter approach. I mean, you have all these different diet plans and everything, but everybody handles different foods differently because you have different gut biome, you have different everything, right? So, anyways, I've been just eating as I normally would, and I check it like almost like. Oh my gosh, every 15, 20 minutes, every time I'm done doing something, I've been making notes, right? So what I've noticed over the first, and before this, I'm not feeling bad. I'm not feeling.
Yeah, you're not in it for a fix.
No, I'm not in it for a fix. I was simply in it to experiment, right? And so I noticed that just about all the time, I was sitting above 100. Right, which if you research on the internet, they're going to say
that pre-diabetic.
They call that pre-diabetic,
Yeah.
and I'm not really.
If you have consistently elevated or moderately elevated.
Well, fasted glucose levels above 100,
Yeah.
you're pre-diabetic for sure. And so every morning I'd wake up. Now, interesting thing I saw.
I can say I was the same way.
Yeah.
Back when the first time I ever pricked my finger, I would be like 105 when I wake up.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did notice when I wake up is, the fun thing about this and not the finger pricker thing is you can test it immediately. You don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd be laying in bed, and before I'd get up, my alarm would go off. I'd reach over, grab my thing, and I'd boop, boop, 95. Oh, all right. As soon as I got up, brushed my teeth, got ready, got dressed, I test again, 115. Right. So instantaneous, almost like your body's shooting some, glucose into the system to get you moving.
Right.
However, I don't necessarily want that because I still haven't had anything to eat yet, and I'm not doing anything strenuous. My body's just kind of getting woke up. So I noticed that. I would eat a lot of different things that would not spike my blood sugar that much that I thought for sure would. And I experimented with some things that I normally wouldn't that haven't been in my diet in probably 5 years, 6 years. Powerade was one of them. Mixed it with branched chain amino acids. Didn't do anything to me. Right? It's like, this is weird. I didn't like, it was too sweet for me, but I tried it 3 times, right? Nothing happened.
Powerade have aspartame in it?
I have no idea.
What's the sweetener?
I have no idea. I didn't even want to check. I didn't look at it. I just knew it was
Somebody
sugar.
fact check.
Fact check it. So
Whatever it is, it's not good.
I mixed it with branched chains, and I mixed it with some caffeine, and that didn't. Nothing happened there,
Yeah.
right? Another thing that did not spike it as much as I thought it would, or is not as much as other things, was pizza, right? I thought for sure, guaranteed,
Jeez, man.
pizza is going to spike it. It did not.
It didn't.
Right? You know what spiked it the most? Grapes.
Grapes, yeah.
Grapes got me. So that's just an example of how everything is different for other
Right.
people, right? So I was going to do the full 10 days of just eating normally, but after 3 days, I started like almost getting like, what the heck? Like this
Something has to change.
Something has to change right now. So what I did yesterday, I did so what was yesterday? Yesterday was Thursday.
Thursday. So you ate dinner Wednesday night?
I ate dinner Wednesday night, stopped eating exactly at 7 o'clock. So from 7 o'clock until 7 o'clock yesterday, I didn't eat anything, including I did not put brain octane in my coffee in the morning. I literally only had 1 cup of black coffee in the morning, and then everything else was decaf. So I had another cup of decaf because I didn't want extra caffeine, and then I drank water. Now in my water, I put like 5 in this thing. I filled up. I had about 10 to 15 cranks of salt in there, pink Himalayan sea salt, and I drank 2 of these yesterday. That was it. So there was no additives in it. There's no fat or anything. It wasn't a fat fast. It was just a pure fast. My blood sugar stayed in the 90s and 95s all day consistently, which day before, even when coaching, it'd get up to 110, 115. Right? Now, it did spike. I did want to work out. So I worked out with the noon fit class. Now, in that workout, what I did was, since I knew I was fasting, I had, not a lot of any food in my system to work out, or I knew I'd kind of maybe be feeling it. I made sure I only did nasal breathing only. Now, I know after taking the VO2 max test, if I keep my heart rate below 155, 157, then I'm burning predominantly fat, right? Which I want my body to get used to, so you get into a fat burning stage. So nasal breathing only, I know from testing, keeps me below that mark.
Right.
So I did the entire workout nasal breathing only. Still was able to move. Right? I drank water afterwards and didn't have any branch chains, nothing like that. My blood glucose jumped up to 137 in the middle of that workout and then dropped back down. Now, that means I'm burning the glycogen stores I've already had in my system. I'm burning them, getting rid of them, and I didn't replace them with anything, right? So your body can hang on to anywhere between, 300 and 500 grams of carbohydrate or of glucose, depending on muscle mass, tissue, all that stuff. And so I'm trying to deplete that as much as possible to help my body get into more of a fat oxidization phase, right? So get it to start burning my own fat for fuel, kind of keto type stuff, right? So I continued. I didn't feel hungry at all. As I was moving through after that workout, I kept on going, water. Now, right around 5 o'clock, I started to be like, whew, all right, I'm starting to get some hunger pangs in there, right? But I just kept myself busy, ended up going to Velocity and putting them through a workout. On my way home, I felt fine all the way, got home, and I had already semi-planned what I was going to eat for the night.
Right.
Now, I broke the fast. Not binge. And for me, it wasn't a ton of food. This is going to sound like a lot of food to other people, but not for me. I had 3 pork chops. I had a Polish sausage. I had this size, this little bit, like my handful, like a handful of green beans. And then I had water with that. I used mustard. We sous vide it, and I had like parsley or whatever stuff on it. Really, really good.
And that was it?
That was it. That's what I had for dinner.
Okay, so now I want to skip ahead. So so after one 24-hour fast, what are the results?
Yeah, so I woke up this morning, and normally when I'd wake up, like I said, it was 90s, and then 115 when I got moving. This morning, it was 80, and then when I got up and started moving, it was 95. Right. So that's like a 10, 20, 15 point
In 24
drop
hours.
in 24 hours.
Right.
Now I'm not going to, and my gut felt better. Different thing was just feeling pretty good this morning. And so now today my plan is I'm going to stick to meat and some very, very leafy greens, if anything, in a small amount. A little bit of a fattier meat as I go. Depending on how I feel, I might not eat until dinner again.
Yeah.
Right.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. Now I'm aware of that, so my workout today is not going to be crazy hard per se.
Right.
But I'm going to focus on his breathing.
So I think what people want to hear, or what I want to continue to think about, is if you are making changes to your nutrition, or say you are doing Whole30, or you are trying intermittent fast, try to manage your expectations with your workouts.
Yeah.
So you still come in, but you might not have it today.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because you're going through a transitional period. But the other thing I want people to understand is how quickly you can make change.
Yes.
And maybe you don't know that you have to do a 24-hour fast until you try.
Yeah.
So whether you're pricking your finger or you get a continuous monitor, you're not going to know. So I think that's the cool bit about this is you're taking the power and you're getting the information.
Yeah.
And you might put that on and you might find out that your blood glucose when you wake up in the morning is 82.
Yeah.
And certain foods might affect you differently than certain foods might affect me. And that's fine, but you've got to actually know what your own code is.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
not just be dependent on what everybody's telling you.
Absolutely. And a 24-hour fast might not do it for you.
No, you might, and it might be 36. It didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to make any changes until I went over 36.
Yeah. And that's just going to be individual variants. Now, I'd say way to go. Like last night, I could have made it through the night till this morning.
Right.
But since I was already dropping and staying low all day, I decided not to.
Right.
So
you can let the data tell you.
Yeah. Let the data kind of gauge where you go with it. Mm-hmm. But it's been really fun. So I am one where I'm like, and we've talked about this so many times before. I'm pretty lean.
You're not doing this to like shred body fat.
No, I'm not doing this to shred body fat. But also, like, my thinking beforehand has never been like, I don't eat horrible. I'm 80-20 all the time. And so, like, my mentality going into different things is there's never been anything that's been affected my mentality going into eating as much as this blood glucose monitor.
Right. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, for me, because I perform well, I do what I want, and I don't eat horrible, right? 80-20. But having this continues, and even doing the finger pricking didn't do it as much for me. One, it was a nuisance, and
right. My fingers would just get all mangled up.
Mangled up, and it's just it's a process. This is boop, and you're done.
You're done.
Right? It's 10 days. That's as much as you need it for, and then you go from there.
So I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go pick one of these suckers up. Just after hearing you do it for 5 days, I think it's a great experiment. So I encourage you guys to give it a shot. Getting your annual blood work done is great, but that's when you go in fasted that morning, there's a lot of things that happen the night before that are variable.
Yeah.
And here you get a chance over the course of 10 days to kind of see what works and what doesn't. And if you're looking for a 10-day challenge, maybe this is it.
Yeah, for
maybe
sure.
Try some things out for the first couple of days. Try to go keto. Try to do Whole30. Try a couple fasts. See what your data tells you, and let us serve as advisors and not directors of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Take as many. If you're going to do this, take notes.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easy, and we're pretty, we remember stuff a lot about fitness, but it's easy to forget. It's really easy to forget. Take notes, and just enjoy the process.
Right.
Don't get frustrated if you're like, well, what the heck is what? I don't understand. Just be willing to experiment and be willing to see different changes, or maybe no changes. Right. You have to.
Either way, you're going to have some sort of data.
Yes.
From it, and I think again, to take control of your own health and make some direct changes here over the course. I know you've already made changes in the last 24 hours, but it shouldn't be a thing where, hey, I hope things get better. No, take some action, get some data, and then report back to us on how it works. And I know I'm going to do the same. So hopefully next week I'll have one of those on me, and I'll be 5 days in as well. So you guys, thank you for hearing us out. Test your blood, and we'll talk to you next week.